Please start, Dr. Sir.
Okay, जी, okay.
मेरी आवाज आ रही है डॉक्टर साहब?
Of your PGDC, हाँ जी, हेलो,
जी बोलिए बोलिए डॉक्टर साहब।
तो
नहीं, आपकी आवाज कट रही है डॉक्टर साहब।
या मैं स्टार्ट ना मैंने हेडफोन ले लिया है तो शायद अब ठीक रहेगा।
अब ठीक है डॉक्टर साहब, बोलिए।
आई गॉट दिस हेडफोन।
अब ठीक है डॉक्टर साहब, यहाँ सिग्नल अच्छे हैं।
Hello.
हाँ बोलिए प्लीज।
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Hello, my dear learner. You're from PGDCFT or MSCCFT program of the SIGNU, and we have started online classes. During the, we are unable to meet you in person. So, whosoever having any doubt or whosoever having any queries, so after the lecture we can discuss that one. But directly we are focusing on the topic of human development. And this is from your paper 1, C, PGDCFT or MSCCFT 01. So the human development, is a dynamic component. And as per the Shakespeare, all the world is a stage and all the men and women merely players. They have their exit and they have their entrance. So, and one man is in this time plays many parts. So we all human beings are working as a player or the actor on a stage, and one individual playing a multiple role. So that means our development is also related to multiple roles. We reach backward to our parents and forward to our children, and through their children's to a future we will never see, but about which we need to care. This is said by Carl Jung. That means we backward to our parents and forward to our children's, and through their children's to a future. That means futuristic every development is having a futuristic approach, and we are of our future. Each of us develops partly like all other individuals, partly and no other individuals. Some other individuals may be similar to me, another individual may not be similar to me, developing in the same rate, same level, same stage. So that means individual differences. Most of the time, our attention is directed to an individual's uniqueness. That every individual is a unique, right? By why we are unique, there are certain inherited or the acquired characteristics. We are unique. Development, what is development? The development pattern of a change that begins at conception and continues through the lifespan. Mass development involves growth, although it also includes decline brought on by aging and dying. That means since the conceptions till aging or till death, we remain developed. So this is a continuous process. This is carry on. This is continuing till the death of human being. Meaning of development or the growth. Development, the growth. They are two different components. So child development refers to the biological and psychological changes that occurs in human being between birth and the end of adolescence. As the individual progresses from dependency to increasing autonomy. We are, as per the Erikson developmental stages, social stages of development, dependency and autonomy. Obviously, when we born, we remain dependent, and after dependent, we go to our autonomy during our teenage or the adolescence period. But again, at the end of elderly, we become dependent. So this is a continuous process. This is a cyclic process automatically. So human growth deals with just the physical aspects of development. Human development That means growth is a physical component. Am I right? Though I'm differentiating between development and the growth. Growth is a physical component. Human development includes human growth. That means development includes growth also, both, right? So if we discuss or explain growth, that means the physical component of a human development is considered to be a growth, whereas the human development includes human growth, but also takes into consideration the psychological aspects of development. So this is the development, and growth, that is only physical component. So development refers to change or growth that occurs in child during the lifespan from birth to adolescence. This change occurs in orderly sequence. There is a sequence of order involving physical, cognitive, and emotional development. So this is a sequence of changes we happen during our developmental process. Human development is a complex interplay between biology, psychology, and society. There is an interplay. These three are playing an important role for the development of human being. Any discussion that focus on talented, gifted individual development inevitably addresses the challenges experienced by creatively gifted people and those that support their development. Talented children tend to develop outside the parameters of the typical stage of development, right? All most of the talented, they go beyond the typical stage of development, and most of the ordinary individual, they go by the typical stage of development, right? So their unique talent set up uneven development landmarks. Consequently, it is more difficult to predict developmental sequencing. We cannot define, we cannot predict developmental sequencing, and more challenging to offer supportive developmental environment. When we have a talent and developmental sequences we are unable to predict, so in that sense, the supportive development environment is become more challenging there. So human development in terms of lifespan perspective. The perspective that develops is lifelong. Human development is lifelong, multidimensional, multidirectional, plastic, multidisciplinary, and contextual, involves growth, maintenance, and regulation, and is constructed through biological, sociocultural, and individual factors working together. So this is the main point I'm going to highlight. I'm going to repeat there because for important one, human development in terms of lifespan perspective. The perspective that development is lifelong, very clear. The first perspective, the first component of development is a lifelong. Second one is a multidimensional, right? Third one is a multidirectional, right? Parallelly, physically we are growing, and parallelly we are growing intellectually or cognitively also, socially also. That is a multidirectional. We does not development go in one direction only. Development go in multi directions. So multi-dimensionals, multi-directionals, and plastic. Development is having a plasticity. This depend on yourself, your talent, your capacity, your inborn criteria, your inborn skills, your inborn traits, how much you intend to develop, right? Within the family, one person can be small in height, and another one can be the taller in height. So development is up to your inherited or the acquired components. So there is a plasticity. Then development is regulation. Development is a regulation and is constructed through biological, social, cultural, and individual factors working together. So these are the three factors working together in terms of biological, social, cultural, and the individual factors. So what are the characteristics of the development? So the development is multidimensional. As I told you, it is a multidimensional. Whatever your age, your body, your mind, your emotions, and your relationship are changing and affecting each other. This is multidimensional, right? That means your mood, your mind, your emotions, your relations, they are continually changing and affecting each others. Mutually ये आपस में एक दूसरे को अफेक्ट करते हैं, they affecting each others. That means your mind, your emotions, and your relations with the family members, and relations with your peer group, your relations with the society automatically influence each others. So development consists of biological, cognitive, socio-cultural, emotional dimensions. Even within dimensions, there are many components. For example, within dimensions, that means inter or intra dimensions working there, being the multidimensional. That means attention, memory, abstract thinking, speed of processing, information, and social intelligence are just a few of the component of cognitive dimension. Right? We have a cognitive, socio-cultural component of development, and within the one dimension there are so many dimensions, sub dimensions also there. They are working together, they are influencing each other. So development is multi-directional. I explained development is a multi-dimensional. Now I am explaining development is a multi-directional. Development is a plastic. Even at 10 years old, person A, person B, person C, whatever the name, was extraordinary at the age of 10 years. He was extraordinary shy. Was he or she destined to remain forever uncomfortable with people? That means whether the person is inborn and remain permanently shy. Developmentalists debate how much plasticity people have in various dimensions at different points in their development. What will be the level of plasticity, right? How much we can increase or decrease the development, that is a plasticity, right? So developmentalist people, they are debating how much plasticity people have in various dimensions of different part in their development. Plasticity means the capacity of change. Capacity of change, that means positive change or the negative change, positive development or negative development, that is the change. For example, can you still improve your intellectual skill when you are in your 70s or 80s? This is a question to you people. You give me a reply after my lecture. Note down the question. So plasticity, I'm explaining. Plasticity means the capacity for change. That means I'm giving you the example. Can you still improve your intellectual skills when you are in your 70s or 80s? Note down these questions. Reply me after my lectures. Or might these intellectual skills be fixed by the time you are in your 30s, so that further improvement is impossible? You have to think over it. Researchers have found that cognitive skills of older adults can be improved through training and development better strategies. And this is studied, proved, and spoken by Boron, Willis, and Shachi in 2007. They have studied. That means training. Here I am referring the example of nature and nurture. As per the nature, we can say our intellectual development may not go further, may not increase, may not develop further beyond 70s. I'm giving you reply. Now you think, right? But there are certain trainings, through which we can develop with the specific strategies, right? So that means intellectual capacities, intellectual skills of a person can be developed beyond 70s through training and with the help of specific strategies, right? So development is a contextual. It is related to a specific context. Contextual. All development occurs within a context. That means context, that means economical context, that means social context, that means psychosocial, psychological, family, schools, peer group, churches, cities, neighborhood, universities, laboratories, countries, and so on. Right? Development, if we discuss about the GDP, this is the global component of development, right? We are discussing about GDP, that every state is contributing towards GDP of our area, right? If we consider the economic development GDP, we consider the human development, that is a global human development index is there. So all these development is a specific related to a specific context. So development is a contextual, right? And this is given by your Goodnow, Goodnow, Goodnow in 2010 about this development is a contextual. And each of these settings is influenced by historical, economical, social, and cultural factors. All the context which we are discussing, or all the context of our development, are to be influenced by historically, economically, socially, and culturally. Right? So, context like individual change. Context, developmental context like individual change. Thus, individuals are changing, being a changing world. Why we are changing? Because we are living in a changing world. No one can be a stagnant. No one can be a stable. Right? If we have a stability in life, we become bored. We become frustrated. Everyone needs changing, and change is the nature of law. Right? Why we are changing? Because we are living in a changing world. Individual, family, society, sorry, world, they are changing. So automatically, when changing happen in one context, so individual development is to be influenced accordingly. And parallelly, the developmental context happen, so automatically our development take the shape according to our contextual development. So why we are changing? Because we are living in a changing world. As a result of these changes, context exert has given or exert three types of influences, and these three types of influences given by Baltes, Baltes 2003. Number one, normative age graded influences. Number two, normative history graded influences. Number three, normative or high individualized life event. That means there are three components. There are three influences. Number one, age graded influences. Number two, history graded influences. And number three, individualized life events. Each of these three can have a biological or environmental impact on development. Right? So influences in terms of age graded influences, in terms of historical, in terms of life event, automatically they can influence our development during our so what is the goal of development? The goal of development is to enable people to adapt to the environment in which they live. Self actualization is essential to achieve these changes. So what is development? Goal. The goal of development is to enable the individual to adapt to the environment in which they live. So that means if we are developed, so that means we are highly adaptable. And we are underdeveloped, we are not adaptable. That means development in terms of any context, economical, social, physical, psychological, cognitive, emotional, whatever. If we are high level of development, that means automatically we are adapted to that environment, right? Situation automatic. So this is the goal of our development, that development help us to learn adaptability in the given environment. So lifespan perspective of development, because why I'm telling you the lifespan development, lifespan perspective of development, because development is not having a specific era, specific period, specific stage. One development is related to another development. That means correlated. All interrelated contexts are there, which contributing a lot to develop as a holistic human being. So the lifespan development, specifically if we discussing this human development in being students of CFT or PGDCFT, I little bit try my level best to refer psychology as a lifespan development in the field of psychology, which involves the examination of both constancy and change in human behavior across the entire lifespan, that is from conception to death, right? Lifespan refers to the ongoing process that we go through while growing up. Lifespan development, that means this is an ongoing process through which continuing with the help of our growth. It is the period of time from conception extending to death. So that means development related to conception till the death. Lifespan development includes issues such as the extent to which development occurs through the gradual accumulation of knowledge versus stage-like development. Gradual accumulation and continuous process, cyclic process, and a cumulative process. One developmental stage helps another developmental stage to grow, right? So as per the Freud developmental stages we discuss, oral, anal, phallic, latency, and genital, right? These are the psychosexual stages of development given by Freud. One stage help another stage to develop properly. If one stage is having a deficit level of development, automatically the further next stage will hamper, will be affected, will not be developed in a proper way because the previous stage, the first stage is not adequately developed. So the development periods are child and adolescence, early adulthood, middle adulthood, late adulthood, and automatically ups and down is a regular feature of your development. Development can never be a smooth, right? Development can never be a constant, and development is our being a process, a cyclic process, and ups and down. That means positive and negative development is the regular features of our human development component. Now, what is the family dynamics in terms of your human development? If I refer the meaning of dynamics, family dynamics, that means the relations of family. This is called the dynamics. The pattern of relating to members in family determined by daily interactions between them is called family dynamics. That means day to day interactions of the family members will decide the level of dynamics within the family. Family values, culture, belief, right? I'm telling you the factor influencing the family dynamics. Number one, family values. Next, culture. Next, belief about gender role, parenting practices, power and status of family members, and nature of attachment into the family. These are the factors which continuously influencing our family dynamics. I told you the dynamics means the relations of the family members based on daily activities, right? So attachment in the family, I told you, this may be depending on multiple levels of factors. Family values are to be depending multiple level factors. All these are depending internally related, intra or internally related, these factors. Individual perceptions that matters because individual perception and a family perception. There are two component I'm telling you. One is individual, another one is a group. Individual being a member of a group. So one group is having a perception about one component, and the one member of the same group is having a different perception about the same component. Why? Right? One member within the family, there are two members in the family, one having a different concepts, different perception about the same object, another is having a different perception about the same object, right? So individual perceptions that matters because individual perception is important, that matters because each family member's perspective is valid. So each of the family members perceptions is valid because they have a schema, they have a schematic informations in their brain, in their mind, and according to that they perceive. Or every individual is having a different schemas, schematic informations. So according to their schematic informations, they perceive. And this is the informations that individual differences arises. What are the individual perceptions are there? They are valid because the validity is based on the schematic informations available in the human mind. Here we can say that there are two important concepts to understand individual behavior. Number one, family context with focus on internal dynamics. So within the family, there are the relations. That is the internal dynamics of the family, right? So individual decision, individual perceptions is depending on the family context with focus on the internal dynamics within the, that is the intra-family relations, that is the internal dynamics of the family. Second one is person's interpretation of the family relationship and communications. How the person interpreting the family relations and how the person is communicating within the family members. So every member of the family may interpret family relations in different terms because I am referring again, time and again, the schematic perceptions, schematic criteria of individuals. So every individual can perceive the relationship with the family as per according to their schematic information available, and according to that they start to communicate. Now there are the stages of human development that is called human life cycle. I told you, as per the Sigmund Freud, Erikson, autonomy, initially we dependent, then become autonomous, and finally become dependent. That means a human life cycle. So human life cycle, as we get older we change and go through different stages, right? You imagine your childhood, then your adolescence, then your adulthood, and then your elderly periods. So automatically, as we get older, we change, we change and go through different stages. So development is a life cycle, and it starts for infancy, further leads to childhood, adolescence, and old age, and finally adulthood. So these are related infancy related to adulthood, childhood, childhood further related to adolescence, adolescence related to old age, adulthood, and adulthood further related to your old age. So I'm again repeating, infancy leads to childhood, childhood leads to your adolescence, adolescence leads to your adulthood, adulthood leads to your elderly or the old age. So what is infancy? It is usually from 0 to 6 years, right? Infancy usually from 0 to 6 years, and that means NIR. I am referring this NIR, that means N means nutrition, I means interaction, and R means reproduction, right? That means infancy from 0 to 6 years of age. That means during infancy, shape and size change greatly. Infant needs lots of food. Dependent on others, infant develop their sense and learn to talk and walk, right? So this is the infancy period of development. Second one is childhood. That usually remains from 7 to 12 years of childhood. And childhood, that means children needs food from all groups. Breakfast is very important. Interact with family and friends, learn how to read, and at the end, the reproductive system start to change. Then your adolescence, that is a 13 to 19 years of age, remain, that is a teenager, is a different type of stage, turmoil, light, lack of identity, confusion of identity. So that means adolescence or the teenage period, that development goes from 30 to 19 years, and that needs a lot of energy to grow and be active and keep learning. Slowly become adults, body stops growing and change a lot. That means during teenagers, body take a particular shape and body stop growing and change a lot. The reproductive system change. Then adulthood, that means from 20 to 64 years of age. I let you know one thing. I'm telling you the age of development, that is a stage of development with specific years of age. So in different books, they have different years of age. Individually differences are there. Some may have taken this 20 to 70 years adulthood, so I'm referring this one. So don't be confused about these differences in age of development. stage wise. So adulthood, 20 to 64 years of age, body does not grow. Up to 20, most of the body or our physical growth almost we have taken a specific shape and we stop to grow physically. So adult needs less food. Mental and emotional full development gain. Mental and emotional full development going on, gain experience and responsibility. Adults' bodies are ready to have further reproductive system. So then old age, 64 years of age and onwards, that is 65 years of age, we start to consider senior citizen. That is, intestine absorbs less nutrients. Doctors start to advise take less nutrients diet, right? They need a healthy diet and controlled diet in your old age. Body work more slowly. Some adults need help, right? So physical functioning starts almost slow down. Others are active and happy. Some adults need help. Some may become happy and active. So I told you human development varies from individual to individual. During old age, some remain active, some become dependent, some needs help, right? And then reproductive system stop working. So then key issues in human development. Important issues in human development. There are many different theoretical approaches regarding human development. As we analyze them in this course, recall that human development focuses on how people change, and the approaches address the nature of change in different ways. Is the change smooth or uneven, continuous versus discontinuous change or development? Development is not a continuous process. This can be continuous even, right? So in this pattern of change, the same for everyone or are different pattern of change, one course of development versus many courses of development, right? One may develop in one aspect, another may develop in another aspect, right? So somebody is intellectually developing more, another is physically developing more, another one is socially developing more. So individual differences referring again and again. How do genetics and environment interact to influence development? That is a nature versus nurture. So nature by nature, we got the genetics characteristics or genetical characteristics by nature. By nurture, we got the psychosocial cultural characteristics of development. So nature versus nurture development, that is a genetics and the environment, interact our influences, interact and influence our development properly. Is development is continuous or discontinuous? So continuous and discontinuous. I'm telling you both. I told you development is a continuous process, but this can be discontinuous also. Development is a cumulative process, gradually improving on existing skills. With these types of development, there is a gradual changes. So development usually go gradually. Consider, for example, a child physically growth, adding in inches to their height year by year. It does not mean in 9 years, 8 years, 10 years, 12 years, a child become 6 feet of height. So every year, certain inches are to be added in their height. That is a gradual process. So in contrast, theorists view development as a discontinuous, believe that development takes places in a unique stage and that it occurs at specific time or age. With these types of development, the change is more sudden. So development, I told you, development is a gradual process. Discontinuous, discontinuous process is referring that developmental changes are more sudden. Gradual and sudden, two are the things I'm telling you. In development, continuous development, that is a gradual processes, and is a discontinuous development. That means the people are saying, the theorists are defining that development, the changes are more sudden, such as an infant's ability to demonstrate awareness of object performance, permanence, which is cognitive skill that developed toward the end of infancy, according to Piaget cognitive theory. More on that theory can be described about this component. That means development is a continuous or discontinuous. So the concepts of continuous development can be visualized, can be explained, can be described as a smooth slope of a progression. Whereas discontinuous developmental sees, explain, describe growth in more discrete change stages, right? One step, then the further step, then the third step, fourth step. That is stepwise we are to grow in a discontinuous development. And in development, we have a smooth slope of development, smooth slope of progress. So, issues in lifespan development. There are various issues we are to describe in our lifespan, that is continuity and discontinuity, right? Smooth process, gradual process. That means same continuity and discontinuity. That means development and is a continuous and discontinuous. Again, I'm repeating same concepts. That means continuous and discontinuous. That means smooth process of development and the gradual process of development, right? Stability and changes. Stability and changes, another issues we have to discuss in lifespan development. That is shyness, stay stable in its expression over time or change. Stability or change. One development stay for a long time or that can change. That means I'm giving example. Shyness stay permanent in its expression over time or change. Over the time, shyness can change or not, or it remain permanent, right? That means whether a shyness is stable or it is changeable, right? So then, nature versus nurture. Another issue to discuss about our lifespan development. Both genetic traits and our environmental circumstances are involved in an individual development. Although the amount of influences the two has is not clearly evident. Now, this is a very important component, nature versus nurture. Nature is playing an important role, or nature play or nurture playing an important role. The what will be the amount, what level of the contribution, what will the amount of contribution of nature, what will the amount of contribution of nurture is lacking a significant evidences. There are no significant evidences available that nurture is contributing 50% in our development and nurture developing another 50% or 30%, 70%, 80%, 20%, whatever the percentage. So that means the significant level of contribution, the amount of contribution is significantly lacking evidences. So basically, we are considering both are playing an important role. What will be the degree of nature in our human development? What will the amount or degree of nurture? It's not defined, it's not explained, it's not proved significantly by the researcher, right? So, essential process of development involves changing relations between developing people and their changing context. This is said by Lerner, Ler, NER, 1998. Ler, Lerner, 1998 said, the essential process of development involves changing relations between developing people and their changing context. I told you development is based on specific context. The answer to these questions, what does family mean, right, is both difficult to answer and highly subjective. That means your developmental changes involved in relation to developing people and their changing context is quite difficult and is very subjective one. The word has shifted its meaning considerably. It entered our language currently contains Many different senses. I'm telling you the meaning of family. Family meaning has been changed. Some people are defining family in terms of their own blood relative people. Some people are defining family like I'm a member of Rotary Club. We say the family of Rotary members of the Rotary family. Lions Club members of the Lions family, right? So they further go beyond their family. So the meaning of the family is changed. The essential use of family denoted a group of person in the service of an individual. This is the meaning of family. A group of person in the services of an individual, right? You take the example of a family, a group of person in the services of an individual. Every individual within the family are performing certain jobs, certain work, certain assignments. So that means they are serving of an individual. In a sense that this is a very early meaning, we may seem are afield from the way that most of us use family today. It is not surprising when we consider that the word of family comes from the Latin famila. The family words originated from the Latin word famila, Famila, and that means which means household, a designation that includes both servant and relatives. You see the meaning of family. Familia, familia Latin word is a familia from which the family words has came. That means the household, and household means that includes both servants and relatives within the familia. So nature and culture, flexible interactions in terms of nature and culture, flexible interactions, human development is more than just a biological process. Since we are unfinished animal, we complete themselves through culture. By nature we born, right? Genetically we born, by nature we born, but we complete themselves through our cultural orientation. This is given by Gitz GEERTZ 1973. That means we born genetically and we finish, we complete through our culture. So human ontogenesis is the need of compensatory support by culture and individual scaffolding and self-regulatory effort. The incomplete architecture of human development. That means until the culture will not contribute there, we have an incomplete development, which require and at the same time allow the individual shaping of the life course. If genetically we grow, you take the example of a Mowgli, a human boy, he was living like animal. Genetically he was growing, physically he was growing, but could not given the shape to his body without the lack of cultural intervention. So that means the same time allow the individual shaping of the life course. Culture helps us to give our life course into a specific shape. Human development obviously follow a universal pathway. Since the course of human development is like any other aspects of human being, as a result of evolutionary process, human development is evolutionary process, right? So this is another grave and Borjikon 2009, according to the fertility theory of life history evolution, the sufficient fulfillment of the respective functional necessities of every human development stage, both with respect to survival of this particular stage and to the respective contribution to the reproduction, represents another necessary conditions for successful development. So all this about my development, human development, about the stages, human cycle, nature versus nurture, and the meaning of development, the growth and the development, multidimensional, unidimensional, context-based development, multidirectional, right? So all these are to discuss about your concepts, human development. Now I am open for the questions to reply your answers. Dear learner, I am open to the questions. Hello, Tejpal ji.
जी डॉक्टर साहब.
Now I am
Thank you very
open to
much.
the questions.
Sir, I am Nurul.
Yeah, Nurul sir, salam alaikum.
सर मैं ये कह रहा था, ये रोज होंगी क्लास इसी टाइम पे?
डेली.
ओके, सेम टाइम.
सर मैंने आपको शेड्यूल भेजा है.
सर मेरे पास बस यही आया, शेड्यूल मेरे पास नहीं आया सर.
शेड्यूल मैंने अटैच किया, चेक करो सर आप.
मेल में नहीं है सर मेरे पास. बहरहाल मैं तेजपाल जी से रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि वो मुझे भेज दें, ताकि मैं जो मेरे पास मेल आ रहे हैं उनको भेज दूं.
मैं भी भेज रहा हूँ आपको शेड्यूल.
राइट सर. थैंक यू. और सर ठीक है सर, एनी क्वेश्चन स्टूडेंट्स में प्लीज आस्क द क्वेश्चन.
Sir, good afternoon. Hello.
Yes.
Yes, please carry on.
Sir, name is Grace.
Grace.
You had said that. Yes, sir, Grace Daniel.
Yeah.
Sir, आपने कहा था कि can you improve your intellectual skills at 70 years? मुझे बाद में बताना. So, although you had answered it, yes. Through training and specific strategies, especially जो brain exercises है, क्योंकि neural pathways are made throughout our life. So yes, we can develop our intellectual ability at 70 years also.
I'm asking, I told you beyond 70, not up to 70.
Beyond 70.
Beyond 70.
So specific.
Beyond 70 can be grow intellectually.
So maybe in some
This
areas
what,
through specific training.
Yes, definitely. I answered my question myself to you. Through
Yes.
training and with the specific strategies, we can continue to grow even beyond 70 years of age.
Yes, sir.
So anyone?
ठीक है सर.
एक बार सभी अपना वीडियो ऑन कर लें, एक फोटो लेनी है आप सभी की.
कृतिका कपूर जी. कृतिका कपूर जी.
प्रिय विद्यार्थियों, एक बार सभी अपना वीडियो ऑन कर लें. रमन, कृतिका, प्लीज.
मैंने तो ऑन कर दिया सर.
ये आपका भी नहीं आया सर, थोड़ा.
तेजपाल जी, आपके आदेश का पालन मैंने भी कर दिया.
थैंक यू डॉक्टर साहब. मैंने वो लिंक डाल दिया, अभी चैट बॉक्स में भी डाल दिया.
मैं ईमेल कर रहा हूँ सर को अभी.
हाँ, कृतिका अगर आप भी ऑन कर लें तो अच्छा रहेगा. रमनदीप, सुरेश गोयल. ओके, थैंक यू.
थैंक यू सर. और
सभी विद्यार्थियों से विशेष रूप से आग्रह रहेगा कि आपका लिंक यही है, सेम लिंक रहेगा ये. आप ये ना समझें कि कल लिंक अलग रहेगा. लिंक यही है. अगले 4 दिन हमारी जो स्थिति है, आज को मिलाकर टोटल 4 दिन की एक कक्षा रहेगी एक सब्जेक्ट के ऊपर.
अच्छा, और स्टूडेंट से थोड़ा रिक्वेस्ट है कि सर से प्रैक्टिकल प्रोजेक्ट जो भी है उसके बारे में आप बाद में पूछ लेंगे क्वेश्चंस करके. और दूसरा ये है कि अपने जो और स्टूडेंट्स हैं आपके साथी, व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप आपने बनाया होगा, उनको भी प्लीज आप इन्फॉर्म करें और आस्क देम टू ज्वाइन. ओके
sir, my name has not been added to any group so far.
So we will
that
add
is
you
not the
there.
issue. You can do among yourself.
Okay.
जो स्टूडेंट्स हैं आप में, जो जानने वाले हैं, आपको जो है आप लोग अपना ग्रुप बना लीजिए और जस्ट डिसेमिनेट दिस मैसेज. क्योंकि 8-9 स्टूडेंट्स हैं आज, 8 ही स्टूडेंट्स हैं, 7-8. तो जस्ट डू दैट और लोग भी ज्वाइन करें.
एक मिनट डॉक्टर साहब. डॉक्टर साहब, MSCCFT का स्टडी सेंटर के माध्यम से भी बना हुआ है ग्रुप.
नहीं, स्टडी सेंटर के
मेरे
माध्यम
ख्याल से
से
इन लोगों ने बनाया था किसी ने, मुझे लगता है किसी ने बनाया है, किसी स्टूडेंट ने,
किसी ग्रुप ने बनाया
और
किसी
आज एक स्टूडेंट, हाँ आज
बच्चों ने
एक
बनाया,
स्टूडेंट आई है, उसका स्क्रीनशॉट इस पे करवाया मैंने।
बच्चों ने बनाया, बच्चों ने।
ओके ओके ओके। तो आपस में
बच्चों ने बनाया।
तालमेल बना के रखें, एक दूसरे का नंबर लेके रखें, आपस में चर्चा ही करें, और अभी लगातार आप लोग की कक्षा चलेंगी, इनका आनंद उठाएं, रोज आए, अटेंडेंस और अपनी थोड़ी तैयारी भी करके आए। पर्सन पूछने हो तो पर्सन भी
हाँ,
पूछे।
सेम लिंक रहेगा, सेम लिंक रहेगा। यू कैन आस्क द क्वेश्चन, सर विल गिव यू एनफ टाइम फॉर द क्वेश्चंस, सो प्लीज, और यही टाइम रहेगा, यही लिंक रहेगा अगले 3 दिन। ओके,
मैं भी एक ग्रुप में मेंबर हूँ इनका, और उसमें 7 लोग हैं।
ओके
Sir, it is a request because I have so far not met any other student till date, and this is my first session from the center since I don't live in Chandigarh. So it's a request if I could get connected to any of the other students in the group. I haven't met any of them till date.
Okay, you
Yeah,
note
even
down,
I
you
have
note
the
down my
same
number.
request.
now you are
my
meeting,
number.
for meeting.
डॉक्टर साहब, मैं डाल देता हूँ नंबर आपको।
हाँ, नंबर डाल दो, वे कांटेक्ट कर लेंगे, इनको ऐड कर लेंगे।
Okay, sir.
Thank you
Okay,
so
sir.
much, sir.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
ओके, वेलकम।
आप लोग चैट बॉक्स में अपने एक दूसरे को शेयर कर लें, ऐसे क्या?
डन सर, डन,
Sir,
फिनिश।
number.
ओके,
नंबर डाल रहे हैं।
ओके सर,
ओके, थैंक यू नूरुल साहब।
थैंक यू सर, नमस्कार।
सलाम अलैकुम। नमस्कार।
सर,
थैंक यू डॉक्टर साहब, थैंक यू।
ओके, वेलकम,
Thank you,
वेलकम
sir.
प्लीज।